Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And again, Senator Lee, I want to thank you for bringing these concerns before us. As you could tell from my opening statement, I'm concerned that a large number of senators tried to block a candidate who is extremely qualified for a post because they disagree with the law Congress passed creating the Consumer Bureau. On December 7, 2011, your office issued a press release that stated, and I quote, "My decision to oppose his confirmation by the Senate has nothing to do with qualifications. But I feel it is my duty to oppose his confirmation as part of my opposition to the creation of the CFPB itself." My question is, the Senate's role is to give advice and consent. Senators, just to be clear, Senator, just to be clear, you don't have any problem with Mr. Cordray, did you, Cordray?
I don't have any personal problem with him. I'm sure he's a wonderful human being.
You felt that he was qualified for the job?
I feel that he possesses professional qualifications which might well serve him well in a variety of government positions.
I'm going to put up slide 5 up on the board. C. Borden Gray, slide 5, please. C. Borden Gray, who was the White House counsel to President Bush, will be testifying on the next panel of this hearing. And his view is that your actions would be an unconstitutional act for a senator. Let me read to you what he said. And it says, and I quote, "I believe the use of Senate cloture rule to permanently block nominations conflicts with the Constitution's advice and consent clause." So, Senator Lee, is your message to Mr. Gray that he doesn't know his constitutional law?
I certainly would never say that. I have enormous respect for Mr. Gray. I consider him a friend. I also consider him something of a role model as a constitutional scholar, and I admire his work. I'm not sure of the totality of the circumstances in which he made that comment, but let me say this. My belief is that because Congress is a legislative body consisting of elected officials, and those elected officials are retired in increments, especially in the Senate where we have elections only every 2 years. You often have a set of laws that one body has to deal with. In many instances, you have members of a new Congress that didn't vote for a previous law. It's not at all uncommon, for instance, to have a law that creates a government office in one session of Congress that a subsequent Congress refuses to fund or refuses to fund part of its actions. That happens from time to time. Now, you might have a Senate that decides not to confirm somebody to a particular position, perhaps because of the qualifications of the individual, or perhaps they have concerns about the office or the power that officer might wield. And I believe that it's not improper for Congress to raise those concerns, raise substantive concerns about the office itself when going through the nominations process. It is, at the end of the day, the Senate's prerogative to confirm or not to confirm, and there is nothing in the text, the original understanding, or the history of the Constitution that suggests that the Senate's prerogative to provide advice and consent to presidential nominations means that the consent, in fact, has to be granted.
So, in other words, if a senator disagrees with the law, then it's your opinion that they are within their rights under the Constitution to basically say, "I'm not going to vote to confirm a nominee." Is that right? Because
yes,
the underpinning law is that,
yes, and in precisely the same respect and for precisely the same reasons that a senator or a congressman, for that matter, might refuse to vote to fund a particular office that was created under a previous law adopted by a previous Congress. That is not only not improper, but that is part of what it means to live in a constitutional republic in which laws are made and government programs are funded only by regularly elected officials who stand for re-election and may lose election after a while.
In addition, on February 2nd, 2005, Senator John Cowell, one of your colleagues, made the following statement on the floor regarding the Gonzales nomination, and he said, "When someone is qualified and has the confidence of the President, unless there is some highly disqualifying factor brought to our attention, we should accede to the President's request for his nomination to confirm the individual. What's your opinion on that, what he said?
Well, again, I make it a point not to speak for my colleagues. I don't know the totality of circumstances in which my friend Senator Kyl made that statement. But I will say, first of all, that any senator may decide to grant or withhold his or her vote to confirm or not to confirm anyone for any reason, just as he or she is free to vote or not vote for any particular budget or appropriations act or anything else. Secondly, and perhaps more importantly, the fact that there is delay, the fact that there has been delay in confirmations in every Senate with every presidential administration, Republican or Democratic, going back decades, in fact, going back throughout the entire history of our republic, does not and cannot ever excuse the President of the United States in thumbing his nose at the U.S. Constitution. That is what's happened here. That's what we're talking about today.
So if senators started blocking all the President's nominees because they disagreed with the laws that Congress passes, we would essentially have a form of nullification that could shut down the government, and that clearly is not what the framers intended.
Well, I'm not sure that I can agree with that statement. Every Congress has the power to shut down the government should it choose, subject, of course, to what the electorate wants. If a Congress chose to shut down the government, my guess is that would be extraordinarily unpopular, especially if it extended for a duration of more than just a few days. Yeah, the Congress has the power to do all sorts of things. And the fact that the Senate could exercise that advice and consent power irresponsibly doesn't justify the President in circumventing those very same constitutional restrictions that give it that power.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.